Pass the Buck is an active learning experience in which students grapple with open-ended questions that will elicit meaningful responses. Pass the Buck works for any grade level and any subject area, and naturally differentiates to meet the needs of all learners. Pass the Buck is an excellent collaborative strategy, as it requires engagement from every student, from the highest achiever to the one who always struggles. Pass the Buck is done in groups of up to 4 students. When using this, or any collaborative strategy, teachers must ensure that student grouping is purposeful for promoting academic success and fostering interpersonal relationships in the classroom. To begin, the teacher will create or choose 4 rigorous, open-ended questions tied to their current unit of instruction. These questions will then be placed onto 4 separate pieces of paper, each question on its own page. Teachers can also make a Pass the Buck template, or they can simply use any blank piece of paper. For example, in a group of 4 students, each student would have their own paper with their own unique question to begin. After the Pass the Buck question page is complete, the teacher would copy enough for each group to have their own set, or students can make their own. For example, in a class of 32 students, there would be 8 groups of 4 students. Each group of 4 students would have the same 4 open-ended questions on 4 separate pieces of paper. Teachers can make these pages ahead of time and copy enough for the class, or students can copy their assigned question from the board onto a blank piece of paper. In order for students to copy their assigned question, the teacher must have assigned numbers, playing card suits, or some other label in which students understand what their assigned question will be. Let's take a look at this strategy in action. Once the materials have been passed out, or the questions have been copied from the board, the teacher will provide directions, both written and verbally, to the students. Each student will begin by answering their individual question on their piece of paper, leaving room beneath for other responses. Students will have a predetermined amount of time to complete their first question as directed by the teacher. Once the timer rings or the amount of time is up, students will silently pass their paper, or the buck, clockwise. Now, everyone in the group has a new question to answer, but first, they must read what is already written by the previous student in order to add on, create a new response, or respond to the other student's response. Teachers may include some response stems for students to guide their thought process on the question and focus the content of the silent conversation. This process continues until all questions have been answered. The combination of students having individual processing time to complete their questions and formulate a response, while also allowing them the opportunity to read other student answers as a starting point, allows students to engage with the content in a non-threatening manner. The response stems also create an avenue to focus the conversations and ensure that students are staying on topic and extending their thinking on the questions. Once students have completed the 4 questions and students have their original papers back, students will then read the entire conversation on their original page. While they read, they will identify trends in all the answers in order to create a summary statement. This summary statement should only be 1 sentence and capture a complete and concise answer to the original question. For example, teachers could use a capsule summary or a $1.50 summary. The Pass the Buck strategy is complete when all questions have been answered and every student has created a summary statement answering their original question. This is an excellent way to formatively assess student comprehension throughout the unit, use as a review tool at the end of the unit, or incorporate previously learned content in order to make connections to the current unit. Pass the Buck can extend learning as well. For example, students can participate in a group huddle at the conclusion of this strategy to present their summary statements. Students would stand in their groups of 4 and take turns presenting their final answer to the original question and explaining how they got that answer from the trends on their paper. This not only holds students accountable to the end answer, but allows for additional support or aid if there are still questions or misconceptions about the content. Pass the Buck can be elevated by utilizing different levels of Bloom's taxonomy or Webb's depth of knowledge question stems when creating the 4 original questions. Questions should always allow for open-ended responses, but can vary in the level of difficulty or outside knowledge the student would need in order to respond. As listed by Denise White and Elisa Brady in their book Ready to Go Instructional Strategies that build collaboration, communication, and critical thinking, some suggested adaptations and applications for this strategy could be: younger students can participate by using pictures, letters, and so on to play. Related arts or elective teachers can adapt the prompts by using their specific academic content. Pass the Buck is an active learning experience that provides students the opportunity to collaborate with a deeper level of conversation, focus, and total student engagement.